Hello viewers, welcome back. In this session, we are going to discuss about relative layout in Android. So we will see what is relative layout, what is a resource ID or identifier, how to create it and how to refer it, positioning of the views with relative to the parent and child, and a simple program on that. What is a relative layout? A relative layout is a view group which displays child views with relative to the positions, which is very powerful component in Android for designing the layout than any other. So where we are going to position the views with respective to the siblings and parent. When you are representing the siblings, we'll go with an identifier and ID. When with relative to the parent, so that is depends upon the alignment of that particular view in the parent layout. By default, in relative layout, all the child will be drawn at the top left corner of the layout. So how the parent relationship works, let us see. If you see this is your parent, in the relative layout we can assign a child view at the top and another child view at the bottom, irrespective of the relationship between these two children. So like parent bottom alignment, so Android colon layout align parent bottom, it's going to be at the bottom left. So align parent left or align parent start is going to be at the top left corner, which is a default location. And align parent end, it's going to be at the end of this particular screen or the layout. Align parent top, again it will be drawn on the left hand side. Center in parent, layout underscore center in parent, exactly center of the screen vertically and horizontally. So center horizontal means here it comes horizontally center. Center vertical means here it comes on the vertically center part. So this is how we can align or assign the children with respective to the parent relation. Now let us see with the sibling relation. Before going to the sibling relation, you must understand the ID or identifier. ID is a unique resource ID which we define in the XML for the elements, and which is a simple resource that is referred using the value provided by our XML elements with name attribute. Like for buttons, text views, edit text, we will create an ID name like this. And if you have created an ID, so that can be referred in the XML with @ID slash name. When you are creating it, it will be @plus ID slash name will be there. When you are referring in the XML, it will be @ID. There won't be any place like concatenation symbol. When you are referring a created resource ID in the XML, if you are referring that in the Java or activity code, then you will refer r.id.name. R stands for resource, ID means you are referring what, which is an ID, and the name of that particular ID you have created. So here I can represent, so here I have a text view called eKida. So Ramna text is above the eKida text, and the Venkat text is to left of the Ramna text, and the Ganji is to right of the Ramna. So means you can take any of the resource or element as a reference, and other siblings or other child views can be placed according to that particular identifier what you are taking up. Like layout above. So if you say Ramna is above the eKida, so means eKida, we will create an ID for eKida and we will see Ramna @ID slash the name of this particular eKida, identifier of this particular eKida. Layout align end, so align start to end of to right of both are equal, to left of or to start of both are equal. So when you are referring to siblings, so this is how we can work with. The example, I'm just going to take a login page where we have two edit text, one edit text for username, another one is for password, and two buttons, cancel and login button. So these are all side by side. You see The password edit text is below of username edit text. The cancel and login buttons are below of this particular password edit text. The login button is aligned parent end when we are considering the parent relation, and the cancel is to left of login button. So this is how we are going to create a simple program now, or a simple layout design. So open your Android Studio, go to File, New, New Project, take an empty activity, click on Next, change your application name to Relative Layout. Click on Finish. As we know, it will take some time to build the project. The Gradle build is running, configuring the project. Indexed, successfully launched. Now, as usual, go to your activity underscore main.xml, which is layout file. Take the design to split view. As we are working with the relative layout, change your parent from constraint layout to relative layout. Respective closing tag also has been changed. Remove the default text view. Now I require to edit text. So just create one edit text first. Open angular bracket, edit text. Match width should be match parent. Height is going to be wrap content. And we already know that there should be two default properties of an edit text. That is hint and input type. Now let me take hint. This hint here, the user is going to enter the username. So I'm just creating a string. So simply I'm just taking that as hint underscore is the prefix. Now let us say that as user, or let's take uname. Okay. So but there is no such string called hint underscore uname. Alt enter is the shortcut key. Now the value is username. Now you can see that here inside your edit text. And then there should be an input type. So now I'm taking that as text email address where the user will enter this. So let's close this. Repeat the same. Copy the edit text which you have created just now and enter. Control V. So for the next one, it is password. So I'm just going to change the hint as hint underscore pwd or password, whatever you can take. I'm just simply taking pwd. But there is no such string called hint underscore pwd. Alt enter is a shortcut key. Create it. So name it as password. All done. But if you observe here carefully, the password edit text is overlapped on the username edit text. If you see here, why? Because the default location of every view, every child view in the relative layout is top left corner. So it is one above the other. Now I should take the sibling relation because I want the password edit text to be below of your username edit text. When you are referring a particular widget, you have to create an ID for that. So just ID attribute @ plus ID is already given. So just select it. @ means referring, plus means concatenating, means you are creating newly. ID is nothing but you are creating an ID. So the name of the ID is like what? I'm just taking that as username or uname. Okay. So there won't be any warnings for this. You just create an ID. Something like when you're taking an admission into a college or a university, you'll get particular user admission number, which is unique across the university. Now, where this edit text should be basically below, just simply, that's all, right? You type BE, you'll get annotations, Android : layout below. That's good. Where it should be. The reference is also given by Android Studio here. You are referring ID @ ID/uname. So there is no concatenation symbol, plus symbol, because you're not creating a new ID, you're referring an existing ID called uname. @ ID/uname. Then immediately the password edit text has been shifted to the bottom of your username edit text. The same way, just we need two more buttons to complete this layout design. So layout width is wrap content, height is also wrap content, and there should be some text to the button. So Android : text, that should be a string reference. So now I'm just going to take btn underscore because that is a button. So button it's login or sign in. That is up to you, how whatever you take. I'm just taking that as sign in. Button sign in. So sign underscore in. So close the button tag, but there is no such text. So create a string reference, name it as sign in. So you need not to worry about the upper and lowercase because for the buttons default is uppercase. If you observe here, as we already know, the widget whatever you create, a child of this particular layout is going to be drawn top left corner. But where exactly it should be? Below your password edit text. So, but do you have any ID for this? No. Just create an ID for the password edit. Hit that plus ID. You say pwd edit. You create something like this. The same you can do here. Uname edit. And here control space is uname edit, so that you will understand username edit. Sometimes you may be something else. So just to avoid all those, we prefix, and you can prefix or suffix that particular type of the element. If it is a button, I have just prefixed btn. If it is a hint, I prefixed with e hint. If it is a text, you can prefix with the text. So that is up to you. Then where exactly it should be? As usual, layout below the password edit. You select from the annotations, done. But as per my requirement, this sign in button should be on the right hand side. Here it comes the parent relation. So if you don't remember what is the attribute name, but you know that it's a parent relation, you just type parent. It will give you the annotations. Align parent end. So it's boolean value is the input for this, true. Then immediately this has been fixed on the right hand side of this particular layout. So done with this. Now just create one more button, open angular bracket, button, width is wrap content, height is also wrap content, the text. So you can just simply say red string btn underscore. So you can simply say, sometimes we are going to create an ID for the buttons. So in that case, it would be a different one. For now, just I'm taking sign up, I'm taking. There is no such string called sign up. Create a new text. Simply say sign up. Done with it. And this should be below your password. So just you take password edit, but it is on the left hand side, but this should be to left of the sign in button, but there is no ID for the button. Just go and create an ID. You must be very cautious and careful while creating the IDs. I'm just taking this as sign in underscore button. You have to follow some of the conventions. When you're working on a bigger project, you make sure that whether you are suffixing or prefixing. So just follow one rule and practice continuously. Same across the project. So now I got that as a sign in button, and this should be to the starting of or to left off. Let me try with to left off the sign in button. Yeah, it has successfully placed, but the problem is it's throwing some warning. Just close the button. It's showing some warning stating that consider replacing the layout to left off with Android to start off sign in button to better support right to left layouts as well. So that is why from 4.1 and above versions onwards, to left off has been deprecated. It should be to end off or to start off. If it is in a right, it should be to end off. If it is starting, it should be to start off. Now there is no such warning. Just simply run your project. Open your emulator. Installing now. Launching activity. It's done. You see here, these two buttons seems to be patched up, right? There is no proper padding, so or margin. Because I don't go for padding, I need margin because want to differentiate or create a white space between two widgets or elements. So for this, just take margin end because I don't want all other sides. Seems to be they are updating. Earlier in other old versions it was proper. So let's take 10 dp max what we take. Usually for the Real-time projects, we prefer 8, 10 as maximum. If you're not feeling okay with that particular 8 dp or whatever you have provided, so we always take at least of 10 dp. So the second one as well, I'm taking this margin end, again same 10 dp. If you observe here, both are looking good. Now just open your emulator, run your project. Gradle build is running, installing, you can launching activity. Yeah. So now both are aligned and assigned properly, and there is a proper space between these two. This is how we work with relative layout with sibling relation between username and password, and the parent relation with silent button and the entire layout, and again the sibling relation between these two buttons. Thanks for watching, guys. Let's catch up in the next session.